Hey guys, Shane here, Aus Flight Simmer. Welcome to another episode of Test Drive. Now, if you haven't seen one of these videos, this is where we take an aircraft or a scenery or a utility in different flight simulators. I'll take it for a spin around the block and give you my first impressions, and also recommend it if it's worth buying or not. In today's video, we are checking out, yes, another Carenado release. This is the Beechcraft D18S. If you're not familiar with the aircraft, it is a twin-engine, low-wing, tail dragger light aircraft. They normally sit around between 6 to 11 passengers. This variant is the first variant after pre-World War II, and it was designed to have and fit 8 passengers in total. First flight was in 1937, and that was the introduction as well. It was produced between 1937 and 1970. Number built was 9,000 plus, which was in the time one of the most built aircraft for GA going around. As we expect, Carenado have done a beautiful job when it comes to reenacting this aircraft for the exterior. It is a very high quality, as we know from all their other aircrafts that they do. Comes with the normal standard of stuff that you see from Carenado, which is dynamic propeller shines. All the textures are in 4K high quality. Things for sound, some different things. So they've actually used custom sounds on the taxi and the landing, which is pretty cool. I don't think I've seen that before. The normal array of static elements, including chocks, as you can see here. And the package ships out with 7 HD liveries and a 1 blank HD livery. But all in all, I think the video footage here says everything that you need to say about the exterior of the aircraft. It looks phenomenal. With been saying that, let's jump into the cockpit straight away and get her started. The first thing I noticed about the D18 was the interior. I would have to say this is the first time I'm going to give Carenado an A+ for a cockpit. The colouring, the textures, all the instruments are absolutely phenomenal. It catches my eye and it is beautiful to look at, and I think it's a fantastic inside and cockpit of an aircraft. So well done, Carenado. We're just going to open up the window because it's getting a bit stuffy. I'll go through the very basic menu that comes with aircraft. So one is the pop-up for the autopilot. And the next one is all your different options, such as the opening the passenger door, hiding the co-pilot or the pilot, static elements, instrument reflections, and VC. Very basic. Then you've got the normal little menu that shows you where everything is. You're changing options from cold and dark to taxi and no actions, and then also the switches and knobs, all the standard stuff. Very basic options. And you're probably only going to use 2 of them, which is opening the door and the static elements. So we're just going to go through a quick startup for those of the viewers that don't really want to read the manual, and you can watch this to copy the startup. So not everything is exactly the way that it should be, but I'll do my best. But first thing is, pretty much everything in front of you is model and it's actually working. Unfortunately, the sounds, and you're gonna hear some of the traditional clanking. I hate that noise. I think I'm gonna make a video and send it to Carenado of every time I've complained about the sounds in the cockpit that they need to improve on. So I have found the primer there a little bit clunky on the previous test flight that I did. This one seems to be working fine, but I've had some issues with it. So we're going to put the mixtures to rich and turn on the master switches there. Has that many different levers there, and excuse me, that's my Cytec pedals being a little bit dirty. They need to be replaced. So the mags are on. And we'll turn the lights, and we're going to start the left engine first so you guys can have a look out the window, and then we'll see how it sounds on the outside. But I'll be quiet so you can listen to the startup. Carenado claimed that the D18, they're using a real D18 sounds, and I would have to say that'd be right there, especially when it comes to the engine startup. I love how that sounds, and just with the engine running. So we're going to prime up the right engine, and we'll get that going. You can see some of the issues that I'm having with the primer when I'm doing the right engine, because the sound effects are happening but it's not going up or down, which is a bit of a problem. The avionics master switch and some of the other lights are found up the top here, so we'll just switch that on, and pretty much now we're just going to get the aircraft warmed up. I'll put a little bit of a flight plan into the GPS. I'm just using the standard one that comes with the aircraft, but also it will work on the Flight 1 GTN 750 and the Reality XP, but I'm just going to show you this is the way the aircraft comes, so this is what we're going to use today. Alrighty, so it is time to taxi. I think everything's good. I'm just going to turn the seatbelt signs on. Oh, the noise on. Sorry, can't help myself there. It just sounds weird having that in a old vintage aircraft such as this. I will do a little bit of cheating. Because it's a tail dragger, I cannot be bothered taxiing left and right to make sure where I am, so I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to use a little bit of a dash cam, but that's alright. We're going to begin our way. One of the other features, Carenado mentioned that it has takeoff, run and landing real rolling movement effects, so I guess that's effects on the aircraft as we are building speed from takeoff, and also decreasing speed as we land. I'm going to do a short taxi up here, and I'll probably skip the taxi down the runway just for that length of the video, but let's have a look at some outside views as we taxi along of the D18. Taxiing is very controlled on the aircraft, even though I'm going to try to go in a straight line here, because I'm not using replay to do an outside view of this aircraft. But taxi is quite nice in the aircraft. It's very, very smooth, and you can control it quite easy. And the aircraft turns on a dime, being a tail dragger. It's actually really, really cool to taxi the D18. So we'll be taxiing down to runway 29 and taking off there. We do have a very low cloud ceiling feed, so pretty much as soon as we take off we're going to go into cloud and do some instrument flying, so that will be fun. But I'm not going to show you the whole taxi down the runway, just moving time of this video. I think that will bore you a little bit, but we'll come back to you in a quick second once we've gone down the runway and we are turning around for takeoff. So we'll just make our turn, and just here we'll line up on the center line. Hopefully I can do that right and I don't butcher that part there. There we go. It does take a little bit to get her moving. You got to apply, you know, probably about 20% on the throttles to get it going. But it, you know, is an old, heavy aircraft. So I'm going to cheat a little bit on the takeoff. I'm going to use the little nose camera there that I've got. So just turning it on the landing gear till I get a bit of speed, and then I'll go back to the cockpit once the tail starts coming up and we can actually see the runway from the actual pilot view. But with in saying that, I'll be quiet for a little bit. Please enjoy the takeoff and I'll come back to you shortly. So the wheels have gone up. One thing I will mention, for the tail to basically rise, you pretty much don't need to do anything. It will do it by itself instead of you pushing down on the yoke that you normally do with a tail dragger. So that is interesting. As you can see, I've got some red lights for fuel warnings. I have no idea what they are, but mind you, I haven't read the manual on this aircraft in too much detail to figure out what that is. So if you know what that is, let me know in the comments. But we have already hit our cloud levels, so we're going to basically make a U-turn out of Yakut, and we will continue on our way. I think it's probably about 4,000 or 5,000 feet before we get out of these clouds, so we're going to do some instrument flying. So I'm going to keep flying through the pea soup, and we'll put autopilot on a little bit later, and we'll do some footage. I'll show you some footage as the D18 is coming out of the clouds and are looking good, so we'll come back to you then. Welcome back to the cockpit. Doesn't the D18 look beautiful in the air? Such a distinctive looking aircraft. It looks absolutely sensational. We're just about to get to 8,000 feet, so I'm basically using pitch to get up to my cruising altitude, so we'll hit the altitude holder button there. But I just wanted to show you the autopilot. So to turn the autopilot on, you just hit where the roll button is. That is the autopilot master. I've got the GPS on GPS mode, and then all your different heading selectors on the right hand side, where you can choose nav, approach, and heading, for instance. So just making sure everything is in the green. So pretty simple as it gets for autopilots. So now we're at cruise. I think it's time to take a closer look at the cockpit and a bit of a look around the cabin of the Beechcraft D18. I think Carenado have done an excellent job when it comes to the texturing work of the cockpit, fitting in with the old vintage style of the aircraft. I think they've got the mix really right. They're using a lot of assets that you see in other aircraft when it comes to the gauges, but that's okay. They fit in as well. They do good quality 3D gauges and showing off the reflections. I like the vibrations of the dashboard and the instruments within the aircraft, which is pretty cool, and the different scratches everywhere. Some of the things, such as the seat material there, that's something that I've seen in many different Carenado aircraft. But all in all, it looks absolutely amazing. I love the colour green in this aircraft. Taking a look at the back, as you can see, this aircraft is set up for, I think it was 8, when I did the research, it was 8 passengers for this aircraft. Some of the other variants will go up to 11, but very, very spacious for an older type of aircraft, and this particular variant is in a very good nick. I love the old school curtains and just the look of this aircraft. It's pretty neat looking cabin. The quality of the cabin is pretty much standard for a Carenado cabin. Things like reflections are all sort of baked into the seats, really, so no big surprises, but on all, you can't really complain. Tables do the normal fold out that you see for Carenado with the click, but it's a good looking cabin. Love the curtains, love the blue curtains, a nice touch. But pretty good view sitting down looking at those radial engines from that view of the seat there. So we've been saying all that, it's time to jump back in the cockpit, do a bit of a montage, and and I'm going to continue on the flight, and I'll come back to you as we're into approach into PAGs. Welcome back to the cockpit. Hopefully you enjoyed the montage, and we're just making a left-hand turn as we're coming into PAGs in Alaska. But the aircraft, just for flying wise, as I was descending in, it's a beautiful aircraft to fly. Very, very, very stable. It just feels really good to fly, and that's probably one of the other things that I'm very excited about this aircraft, is just the way that it flies. Like you can fly in autopilot, you can hand fly the aircraft as much as you want. It's got two twin engines on there that sound absolutely sensational, and it goes quick too. So it's quite easy to go and do a flight that's 300, 500, 600 nautical miles, and you'll sit there quite comfortable in the sim with the aircraft. So we are all lined up. I've got the puppies in front of us there. Aircraft is, because it's easy to fly, it's easy to trim up as well. So I'm going to leave you there. As we continue our approach into PAGs, please enjoy the landing. Just a little bounce on the landing there, but you get that when you don't fly tail draggers very often. But I'm going to do a bit of a U-turn here, and we'll backtrack on the runway until we can find a place where we can get off. But I really enjoyed the landing with the D18 into PAGs there, and it's like I said, it's very stable. It's easy to land. You should get pretty good and nice and easy landings with this aircraft, but a lot of fun to fly. We've been saying that, let's take a quick look at the replay, and I'll come back to you with my final thoughts. So my final thoughts for the Carenado D18S for FSX and Prepared. Well, it looks absolutely great. It's a unique aircraft. I love the radial engines on the front of the aircraft. The quality is quite high for the exterior, as we know to expect it, and also in the dash and the cabin it's pretty good quality as well. Again, with every Carenado released recently, I will say they need to update their sounds for the different instrument clicks, but other than that, if you're looking for a vintage aircraft or there's something that strikes your interest, I would say go out and get it, because it is a lot of fun, and I haven't been this positive with a Carenado aircraft probably since the Saab 340. So thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you got something out of it. If you want to keep up to what I'm doing during the week, I'll leave a link for the Discord and the Facebook below. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. It's much appreciated and it helps out with the videos. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see more content, I produce 2 videos a week. Please hit that subscribe button to see more. So thanks very much for watching. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Goodbye.